Okay, so picture this. You're having lunch, maybe catching up with a friend, right? And something feels a bit off.
Oh, how?
Like maybe their smile looks a little strange, kind of lopsided, or they're talking, but it's, not quite clear. And maybe they're holding one arm a bit funny.
Mm-hmm.
You might just think, oh, they're tired. Long day. Happens to us all.
Right, easy to dismiss.
Hmm.
But yeah, that scenario, it could actually be a stroke happening right there.
Exactly. And it's kind of scary because the stats are pretty stark. In the U.S., someone has a stroke like every 40 seconds.
It's incredibly common. And the thing is, catching those signs you just described, or others, really, really early, that can make a world of difference. We're talking preventing serious disability or, even saving someone's life.
Which is exactly what we want to get into today. This deep dive is all about giving you the knowledge to recognize a stroke. We'll cover the classic signs, sure, but also some you might not know.
And what to do immediately. Crucial stuff.
Yeah, and we'll also touch on a slightly surprising risk factor linked to how we move, believe it or not. Plus, how a tool called Finch Q might offer some insights there.
It's important to get this out there because strokes can be subtle. They're not always the dramatic collapse you see on TV.
Right.
Actually, nearly 1 in 4 strokes might go unnoticed at first, especially by the person having the stroke. So awareness for everyone else is key.
It really is. And there's that term brain attack, which sounds intense, but it fits. Because every single minute that goes by without treatment, something like 2 million brain cells are lost.
2 million per minute. It just highlights the urgency. Time is absolutely critical.
Okay, so let's get practical. The warning signs, you mentioned the classic ones, the FAST acronym, right?
Exactly. FAST. It's a really handy way to remember the main things to look for.
So let's break it down. F is for?
F is for face drooping.
Face drooping. Okay, how do you check that easily?
Well, the simplest thing is just ask the person to smile. Look closely at their face when they do. Does one side of the mouth seem to droop down or, not move as much as the other? That's a big red flag.
Got it. Ask them to smile. Check for symmetry. Okay, then A.
A is for arm weakness.
Arm weakness. How do we test that one?
Ask them to raise both arms up, straight out. Hold them there for a bit. What you're looking for is if one arm starts to drift downwards or if they just can't lift one arm as high, that indicates weakness on one side.
Makes sense. F for face, A for arm. What's S?
S is speech difficulty.
Okay, what should we listen for there? Like slurring.
Slurring is definitely one thing, yeah. But also listen if their speech just sounds strange. Are they struggling to get words out? Can they not understand what you're saying or seem confused? Any sudden change in their ability to speak or understand is suspect.
Right, so it's not just about the sound, but also comprehension sometimes.
Exactly.
And that brings us to T.
T is for time. Time to call 911.
And this is the crucial action step.
Absolutely critical. If you see any of these signs, face drooping, arm weakness, speech difficulty, even just one of them, don't wait. Don't think, oh, maybe it'll pass. Call 911 immediately.
Even if the signs seem...
Even if they seem mild, even if they seem to go away after a minute, call. Every second counts for saving brain function.
Okay, fast. That's clear. Face, arm, speech, time. But you mentioned there might be other signs too, things not covered by FAST.
Yes, definitely. Stroke's symptoms can vary quite a bit. Sometimes people experience sudden vision problems like loss of sight in one eye or maybe both.
Suddenly, okay.
Or a sudden bout of dizziness, feeling like the room is spinning or losing your balance, maybe trouble walking. Another one is a sudden, really severe headache, like the worst headache of your life, and it comes on for no apparent reason.
Wow, okay. That sounds alarming.
It can be. And also sudden confusion, like they abruptly don't know where they are or can't follow a simple conversation.
Some of those, like dizziness or a headache, people get those all the time for other reasons. How do you know it's serious?
That's a really good point. The key word is often sudden. A sudden, unexplained onset of these symptoms, especially if you have more than one, should always be taken seriously. It's always, always better to get checked out and be wrong than to ignore a potential stroke.
Right. Err on the side of caution.
Definitely.
What about if someone has, say, some slurred speech or weakness, but then like 5 minutes later they seem totally fine? Does that mean it wasn't a stroke?
That's a really important scenario. That could be what's called a transient ischemic attack, or TIA. People sometimes call it a mini stroke.
Mini stroke, so less serious?
Well, the attack itself is temporary. The symptoms resolve because the blockage clears on its own. But, and this is the crucial part, a TIA is a massive warning sign.
A warning sign for what?
For a major stroke. Having a TIA significantly increases your risk of having a full-blown stroke very soon, sometimes within hours or days.
Oh, wow. So even if the symptoms disappear completely?
Call 911. Treat it just as seriously as if the symptoms were still there. Think of it like the fire alarm going off briefly. You wouldn't just ignore it because the smoke cleared for a second, right? You'd investigate. A TIA needs immediate medical investigation.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
Okay, don't ignore temporary symptoms either.
Got it.
Now, you mentioned something earlier that caught my attention, a link between how we move and stroke risk. That sounds less obvious.
It is less commonly discussed, yeah, but it's a fascinating and important area of research.
Yeah.
We usually focus on things like blood pressure, cholesterol, smoking, the standard stuff.
Right.
But how your body moves your gait, your balance, your endurance can actually give clues about your underlying vascular health, the health of your blood vessels, including those in the brain.
So what kind of movement changes are we talking about? Just feeling a bit slower?
It could be that, yeah. Like noticing your walking speed has definitely slowed down over time, not just on one bad day, or getting tired much more easily doing everyday things than you used to. Or maybe feeling, less steady on your feet, more issues with balance. We tend to just chalk these things up to getting older.
Yeah, that's the default explanation, isn't it? Oh, I'm just not as young as I used to be.
Exactly. But these subtle declines can actually signal that something's not quite right with the systems that support brain function and circulation. They can be early indicators of increased risk for stroke and also for cognitive decline, actually.
So it's not just about aging muscles. It's potentially about the brain and circulation struggling a bit.
Precisely. Studies have shown that walking speed, for instance, is a surprisingly powerful predictor of future stroke risk. It's not just about your legs. It reflects how well your brain is coordinating movement, how good your balance systems are, and how efficiently your circulatory system is working.
Okay.
A noticeable drop in walking speed or endurance can suggest the brain and heart might be under stress, even if you feel generally okay otherwise.
But why wouldn't we notice this happening to ourselves more clearly? If my walking is getting slower, wouldn't I know?
It's funny how adaptable we are. The changes are often so gradual, week by week, month by month, we slowly adjust. Maybe you subconsciously avoid walking as far, or take the elevator more.
Right, you adjust your lifestyle without even realizing why.
Exactly, and we sort of forget what our baseline was like 6 months or a year ago. We compare ourselves to yesterday and not to last year. So these slow drifts can easily go under the radar, attributed just to age.
Which is where, I guess, this Finch Q tool comes in. You said it's more than just a step counter.
That's the idea, yes. Finch Q isn't positioned like a typical fitness tracker counting steps or calories. It's designed to be more of a movement health monitor. They call it a coach, assistant, and forecaster for your movement.
Okay, so what does it do differently?
It focuses on analyzing the quality of your movement patterns over time. It looks for those subtle, gradual declines in things like your endurance, your balance, your overall ability to move functionally.
So it's trying to spot those slow drifts we might miss ourselves.
Precisely that. It's trying to provide an objective measure of changes you might not consciously perceive or remember accurately, and the idea is that it then tries to make sense of these changes.
How so?
Well, the concept is that a consistent downward trend in your Finch Q score, the score it calculates based on your movement, could potentially serve as an early warning.
An early warning for stroke risk.
An early indicator that your underlying risk might be increasing, potentially reflecting those vascular changes we talked about. It might show up before you have any obvious symptoms. It's basically trying to track the things we tend to forget about our own physical state over time.
Interesting. So it's like an objective memory for your physical capability changes.
That's a good way to put it.
Okay, so let's try and pull this all together. The main takeaways for you listening. First, really get familiar with fast face, arm, speech, time, and know those other signs too, like sudden vision loss or dizziness.
And crucially, never, ever ignore symptoms, even if they disappear quickly. That could be a TIA, a major warning sign. Call 911 regardless.
Right. And then there's this maybe less intuitive link. Pay attention to changes in how you move. Slower walking, getting tired easily, balance issues, don't just dismiss it as age. It could be telling you something more.
Absolutely. It boils down to being proactive. You really can prepare yourself and potentially help others by knowing these signs and, importantly, listening to your body. Paying attention to those subtle shifts. It's never too late or too early to start being more aware.
And tools like Finch Q are emerging as one possible way to help monitor those movement changes objectively, the ones your own memory might gloss over.
Yeah, and maybe that leaves you with something to think about. Have you noticed subtle changes in your own movement recently, or maybe in a loved one?
Mm.
Things you might have brushed off. What if those changes are actually signals? It just sort of underscores how important it is to be proactively aware of our health and really tune in to what our bodies might be trying to tell us.
A really important point to reflect on. And just a note, our conversation today drew from the insights in Robert Dragon's article over at Finch titled, "Would You Know a Stroke If You Saw One?"